Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA, and today I want to answer a question that comes up all of the time in my workshops and classes. People always ask me, Karen, I want to get my products into big chain stores like Walmart or Best Buy or Home Depot or Macy's or a Kroger grocery store or whatever it is, but I'm not really sure why a chain store buyer will pick my product over somebody else's. Can you give me any insight on that? You know, I want to obviously succeed and I want the buyer to pick my product over my competitors. So can you give me any hints or tips or suggestions on why that happens? And so in this training, we're going to be covering the top 5 reasons a chain store retail buyer picks one product over another. Now, there are other reasons why buyers pick products, but I like these because I felt like they were kind of the core components of why a buyer chooses your product over somebody else's. Now, before we begin, I just want to explain who I am. I'm Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. I've sold millions of products to the world's largest retailers, and I've taught tens of thousands of product companies across the globe on the subject of selling to retailers, and I teach people through my training program, Retail MBA, how to get their products in stores. So I absolutely love what I do, and so this information is based off some of the work I've done over the years in teaching people like you how to get products in stores. So with that said, let's talk about the top 5 reasons a chain store buyer picks one product over another. So the first reason a buyer picks one product over another is market demand. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the customers are ultimately asking for your product or something similar. So in the chain store space, typically the way it works is one buyer buys products for all of their stores. So what does that mean? So if you want to sell to Walmart, there's usually a buyer who's responsible for one category type for that retail store. So if you have a consumer electronics buyer, if you have a consumer electronics product, there's usually a consumer electronics buyer who buys for all of Walmart's stores. Or sometimes they get pretty granular. It could be like the computer peripheral buyer instead of the consumer electronics buyer. So there's usually one buyer who buys products for all of their stores. So there's even like an underwear buyer, right? So someone who buys underwear for all of their stores. So usually a lot of the retail chains, there's one buyer who buys products for all of their stores. Now, there are obviously retailers that buy regionally and locally and so forth, but you know, for this example, one buyer typically buys products for all their stores. So the reason that matters is because they look at the same product all day long, and so they kind of get a feel for what's going to sell in their stores. And so if they are, you know, selling iPad accessories or something like that, they're going to know everything there is to know about iPad accessories, and they're going to go out in the market and see what's trending and see what's hot, and then they're going to look for market demand, and then they're ultimately going to look for products that customers are asking for. So if they don't have that product in their stores, they're ultimately going to be interested in that product. So if you have a product that has a kind of a hunger for market demand, customers are asking for it, then that would be one reason a buyer purchases your product over somebody else's. The next reason a buyer potentially would buy your product over someone else's is because the buyer's looking at your product and they believe that it'll make them money. So as I mentioned, they are purchasing the same type of product constantly all day long, so they know the trend in the space, they know what's going on, and so they can sometimes just look at a product and know, oh, my customers will pay for this. And ultimately they're just trying to generate revenue for their company, and so if they just look at your product and they're like, okay, it's worth a test, or it's worth a trial, or it's worth a purchase, then they will purchase your product. Makes sense, it's pretty obvious, but it's truly true. They can look at your product and usually say, oh, this isn't going to make money, or oh yeah, this is going to make money. And it's as simple as that for a lot of those guys. Another reason why a buyer would pick one product over another is because it's new and interesting innovation. So if you have some new innovative product, maybe an invention, maybe something that nobody's seen, maybe that's something that's fascinating, maybe, you know, something that's exciting, they love to see those products because that makes it easier for them to, you know, explore and give their audience the thing that they're looking for, which is fun, interesting, new stuff to buy. We live in a society where everybody wants that next new thing, and so the buyer knows that, and so if you do have an interesting new innovation, they definitely want to know about you because that would be very useful for them in their business. Another reason why a retailer buyer would pick one product over another is because they go and check out their competitors' stores, and then they might see your product somewhere else, and so that's intriguing to them. So what does that mean? Well, these buyers, so say you want to sell to Target stores, right? Target buyers are going and checking out what's going on at Walmart. They're checking out what's going on at Macy's. They're going to Bed Bath & Beyond. They're looking at all these different stores. So they're looking at their competition constantly. They're walking in their stores. They're seeing what's going on. They're seeing what's trending. They're seeing what the retailers, their competitors are doing well with. And then they ultimately say, oh, okay, so that retailer tested that product out, so that might mean that this product might be interesting, so I need to put that product in my store. So it doesn't always happen, but a lot of times if a retailer sees your product somewhere else, they'll think your product is less of a risk because some other retailer is, put it in their stores, and so they'll be more inclined to buy from you. This is very different than other industries where, usually, in the competitive space, they're not looking to pick up products that their competitors are utilizing and so forth. In this case, in the retail space, a retail buyer actually loves it when your product is in another store because that just means that your product is less of a risk. It's probably more likely to sell. The other buyer vetted it out, so maybe that would be something interesting for them to put in stores. So that's pretty interesting to them. So if, for those of you who are going after chain stores and you feel like you're getting rejected or whatever, don't worry about it. All you really need is one retailer to kind of move the needle for you, because ultimately the other buyers are looking at what's going on in the market and stuff, and that can really support you. So they actually like products that are selling in other stores. The last reason that I think is important to note in regards to a chain store buyer picking one product over another is that you have everything set up in regards to you being retail ready. So what does that mean? It means that you have a product that's ready to go today. You have packaging in place, your pricing is in place, your logistics, everything's worked out. You can literally sell your product to them in that moment, and they're looking for products that are ready to go today that they can purchase. So why do I mention that? Well, because a lot of retail buyers are dealing with people who approach them with products that don't have great packaging or don't have great pricing or don't have an understanding of the retail space, and so they can't put those products in the stores because the product owner didn't do their due diligence, didn't learn how to get products into stores, didn't know how to set their product up correctly for retail, and ultimately, they don't have time to explain to that product owner why they are not going to put products in the stores. They're just going to reject them. So the majority of products that are not getting into stores isn't because it isn't a great product, it's because the buyer looks at the product and says, oh, they really didn't figure out the packaging, or oh, they don't really understand this, or they don't understand that. And rather than working with them, a lot of times they just reject them. And so that's the top reason why I created my programs in my business, because a lot of you guys don't understand that these buyers just don't have the time to explain to you what the issue is with your product, and they might say yes to you if you actually learn a little bit about the retail space and learn how to actually set up your product appropriately. So if they have people coming to them with great products and the packaging is done and everything's set up and all the stuff that you need in order to sell to big chain stores is already ready to go, they would be very excited to know about you, because most people don't understand what retail ready is, and that usually causes a lot of problem for the buyer, because ultimately the buyer can't buy from them because it's not ready to go. They can't purchase the product. They can't put products in stores, and you have no idea how common that is for a buyer to reject a product because of that fact, and it's very frustrating to the buyer. So I hope that provided value for you. There's a lot of other reasons why a buyer picks one product over another, but I really just wanted to support you in giving you some ideas as to how the retail space works. Again, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. Please, if you like this video, please comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Also, please subscribe if you're watching this somewhere else, and ultimately, please be on the lookout for the additional content that I create. Thanks so much.